You're back in your hometown and you're excited to visit your old haunts. And there is no spot from your teen years that makes you more nostalgic than Midway Mall. That was such a fun place, packed with interesting stores, great places to eat, and fun activities. It was always buzzing with shoppers, families, and teens no matter the time. Well, it's a lot emptier than you remember. The food court looks half abandoned, and the arcade is now a bail bonds office. What happened here? And more importantly, is this happening to malls across America? Find out on this episode of the Infographics Show, real reason why shopping malls are failing. Is there any place more iconic to suburban America than the shopping mall? These massive enclosed shopping centers started gaining traction in the 1970s, and over the next 2 decades they became a national phenomenon. If your community was growing, chances were a brand new shopping mall wasn't far behind. The days of the open-air strip malls were over. In their place, glittering retail wonderlands offered everything under one roof. Department stores, specialty shops, fast food, sit-down restaurants, even entertainment like arcades and movie theaters. Malls quickly became the go-to destination, no matter the weather. Shoppers could browse, eat, and be entertained without ever stepping outside. They didn't just become shopping sensations, they became cultural touchstones. By the 1990s, malls were ubiquitous across the United States, and they were showing up in pop culture too. They were often associated with the first foray into independence for young teenagers. Mom and dad would drop the kids off for a few hours of solo shopping and hangouts in a safe environment, with no worries about dangerous street crossings. Indie filmmaker Kevin Smith made a movie called Mallrats about slackers causing trouble at their local mall. When the sitcom How I Met Your Mother revealed one character's secret 90s pop star past, it was through a music video titled Let's Go to the Mall. And when the smash hit supernatural drama Stranger Things launched its 3rd season, the centerpiece was a massive new shopping mall coming to Indiana. Okay, so most malls don't have a secret Russian monster research lab underneath, but something went wrong. At their peak, the United States had around 2,500 traditional shopping malls. While more than 1,000 still remain, the decline has been dramatic. By 2032, projections suggest that only 150 malls may still be in operation. Even today, many of those once thriving retail giants are now a shadow of their former selves. The average shopping mall isn't just one business. It's an ecosystem of businesses operating under a larger structure. Malls are typically owned by a single property management company, which leases out dozens to hundreds of spaces to both small businesses and national chains. A mall can withstand a few closures, but as more stores shut their doors, these losses start to add up. And of course, not all businesses are created equal. One of the biggest factors in a mall's success is the stability of its anchor stores, the massive department stores typically located at the end of each mall. Most malls rely on 2 to 4 anchor stores to draw in foot traffic, while smaller malls can sometimes get by with just one. The most common anchor stores are clothing and accessory chains like Macy's, JCPenney's, and Nordstrom. Although in recent years anchor stores have diversified to include all-purpose chains like Target, hardware stores like Home Depot, and outdoor gear stores like Dick's Sporting Goods. Even large bookstores like Barnes & Noble can fill this role. Anchor stores generate significant revenue, both for themselves and for the mall through rent. But when one of those retail giants goes under, it delivers a seismic shock to the mall's bottom line. Malls have been downsizing and closing for a long time, but in recent years the process has sped up. This has led to some people asking, are we in the last days of the mall? So many malls are in decline that tracking their downfall has become a full-fledged pastime. One of the fastest-growing subreddits and YouTube genres is dead mall walkthroughs, where enthusiasts visit local malls to document what's still open, what's closed, and just how far the mall has fallen. These explorations range from still operating malls, showing signs of wear, to near-abandoned shopping centers on the verge of shutting down, as cities prepare to repurpose them into something that can actually bring people back. Another popular buzzword is de-malling, as large and nearly abandoned malls are either partially or totally torn down. This allows the town to take the massive plot of land and build open-air shopping plazas, hotels, housing, or offices. Many of these reformed malls will still keep some of their top-performing tenants, if there are any, while allowing for types of businesses and spaces that could never exist within a mall. Have you ever had a great video idea, but you didn't know how to get started? You're not alone. So many people reach out to me wanting to know how to make a great video they'd be proud to share with friends, family, or even the whole internet. And I finally have an easy answer for them. InVideo AI. Just type in your idea, whether it's a recipe, a commercial, or a movie trailer, and watch as it instantly transforms into a complete video. You can even make changes using simple text commands like add my voice or make the video more engaging. It's intuitive, seamless, and seriously game-changing. Unlike traditional video tools that are complicated and only solve part of the problem, InVideo AI is your creative partner, doing all the heavy lifting while you stay focused on your vision. Here, the coral reefs burst with vibrancy, illuminated by the sun's gentle rays. Among the coral branches, tropical fish dance in a mesmerizing display of colors and patterns. It removes friction and puts you in the driver's seat, giving you the freedom to bring your ideas to life without stress. You can try InVideo AI for free. This will save you hundreds of dollars that you would otherwise spend on editing, animating, and other production costs. So click the link and start creating your dream videos today. There have been discussions of turning large, vacant malls into housing, but the level of revamping and reconstruction that would likely be needed would make it unprofitable. This collapse has been coming for a long time, but there are many different causes and not all of them are obvious. For one thing, the mall might have just flown a little too close to the sun. For a time, it seemed like there was no limit to the appetite for the Great American Mall, but there was, and the malls hit it hard. With so many malls often within driving distance of each other, they started cannibalizing each other and they couldn't sustain their massive real estate footprint. The trend has been especially visible in New Jersey, the most densely populated state and home to more malls per square mile than anywhere else in the US. In some parts of the Garden State, it wasn't uncommon to have multiple malls within 10 miles of each other, and slowly but surely that number is shrinking. And not even the flashiest malls in the world are safe. It might seem hard to imagine now, but Midtown Manhattan was once home to a massive shopping mall, one of the most impressive in the country. While Manhattan Mall had a smaller footprint than most malls, covering less than a city block, it made up for it in height. Rising 13 stories, this towering retail hub featured a food court on the top floor and a major anchor store. Opened in 1989 and operating for almost 3 decades, it ran into significant problems. Access to the top floors was difficult. Additionally, the mall was in the middle of one of the busiest shopping areas in the country, with a massive Macy's only a block away. Over the years, Manhattan Mall slowly shrank. The top floors were converted into office space, and the once bustling mall was gradually whittled down to just 2 floors. With no food court in sight, by 2020 the decline was complete, and it closed its doors for good. Manhattan Mall might have been doomed from the start due to its strange location and setup, but far bigger problems faced the American Mall. For one thing, going to the mall to shop just isn't that much of a thing anymore. This is probably the most commonly discussed reason for the decline of malls, and there's a lot of evidence for it. For 80s and 90s kids, they probably remember that shopping was a big family ritual. Back-to-school shopping usually meant an extended trip to the mall or department store for trying on new clothes, shopping for school supplies, and hopefully stopping for ice cream afterward. There weren't really many alternatives to in-person shopping, except for catalog orders. And then along came a man named Jeff Bezos. Online shopping was just starting to take off in the late 90s, with specialty stores offering online shipping across the country and some retailers starting to offer digital orders. Then a website named Amazon opened, primarily focusing on shipping books to customers. This was already a major blow to the mall, as bookstores were a major tenant back then. Are you old enough to remember B. Dalton, Walden Books, Borders? All were major bookstore chains and rivals to Barnes & Noble that folded as online book shopping took off. Barnes & Noble survived largely due to its friendly browsing atmosphere and in-house cafes, but it was the first blow against in-person shopping, and they would continue big time. Soon, Amazon evolved from being a website selling books to a website selling everything. Clothing, appliances, and novelty items could all be had with the push of a button. And what's more, major retailers had to compete, so they started their own direct shipping options. That meant that stores were often cannibalizing their own mall outposts for the larger profit margin. And as the home computer gave way to the smartphone, it became easier and easier to order, and harder to justify a trip to the mall when everything was right there at your fingertips. And it wasn't the mall that was hit the hardest, but its most powerful tenants. One of the surest ways for a mall to fail is for its anchor stores to fail, and no one was hit hardest by the boon in online shopping than those massive department stores. Over the last few decades, several once iconic department store chains have collapsed entirely. Stearns, Sears, and Lord & Taylor among them, leaving countless vacancies in malls across the country. Additionally, larger chains like Macy's and JCPenney have cut back heavily amid the new retail landscape, closing many locations, including plenty in struggling malls. While a mall with 4 anchor stores could likely weather the closure of one, a mall with 1 or 2 could very quickly find itself in the red with a steep climb out. And that means malls need to start relying more on other customers. That's right, it's time to talk about the teens. If you're a 90s kid, "Meet me at the mall" was probably a common phrase. It was the perfect place to hang out. Sure, you didn't have much money, but you didn't need to shop. The mall probably had an arcade, maybe a movie theater, and of course a food court, filled with a wide array of reasonably priced goodies. For latchkey kids in particular, it was a great way to kill some time before mom and dad got home from work. It wasn't just a retail destination, it was a social destination, and the teens might not have been the biggest customers, but they were the most reliable. And then something changed. As the 1990s gave way to the 2000s, free-range parenting gave way to helicopter parenting. The new generation of parents was a little less comfortable with their kids having the run of the mall, and heavy scheduling of extracurriculars often meant teens had less time to wander the place. Additionally, malls themselves started becoming less welcoming. Reports of fights and shoplifting, some of which was done by the teens, actually led to many malls instituting curfews. Kids and teenagers would only be allowed in the mall after certain hours if they were accompanied by a parent or guardian. And some malls even chose to make it an all-hours thing. It might have made the malls a little less rowdy, but it also likely cut into their profits. It was all coming together into a flood of problems for the malls, and then it turned into a tsunami. We all remember where we were when the world seemed to suddenly stop as COVID-19 became the most feared virus in the world. And while every business was hurt by the ensuing lockdowns, none may have been hit harder than the mall. As these were enclosed retail spaces, they were often among the last to be allowed to reopen. Malls were closed for at least 2 months in locations across the United States and much longer in some states like New Jersey, California, and New Mexico. Even once they were allowed to open, they often faced new restrictions. Some locations like movie theaters didn't open for a longer period, and many malls weren't allowed to open the dining area of their food courts. That kicked off a financial slide downhill that continues to this day. The money stopped coming in, but the bills didn't stop coming. The mall still had to be maintained during the shutdowns, and most malls still had to pay the rent. Landlords and creditors weren't eager to see every business fail and often offered deferred payment deals, while government subsidies helped ease some of the strain. But despite those efforts, most malls emerged from the lockdowns in far worse financial shape than before. During this time, people became even more used to ordering everything over the internet, and for many, going out to shop was no longer second nature. And once a habit is broken, can it be restored? That's the biggest problem facing the American mall right now. It's easy to figure out changing sales patterns and counter them. But it's not so easy when the whole business model is declining fast due to outside factors. Malls were designed for an era when the desire for convenient all-in-one shopping seemed boundless. But the decline in anchor store shopping and the decline in in-person shopping overall created a cascading effect. Food court tenants can't succeed without foot traffic. Smaller shops like candy stores or novelty stores, like the ubiquitous Spencer Gifts, don't bring people to the mall, but they can get casual traffic from visitors. And without that constant flow of traffic, the malls are just too big for the demand. And so, something has got to fill that space. Malls are currently trying to fill their empty retail space with mixed levels of success. Unconventional attempts to bring in new tenants might be clever in some cases, but they can also come off as desperate. Even successful malls these days tend to have 10 to 25% of their retail spots open, just from regular attrition and small businesses closing regularly. So malls are pivoting away from retail and more toward food and services. It's pretty common to find malls filled with boba tea cafes or other specialty cafes. But some new additions are even more surprising. One of the more promising changes in the way malls are doing business these days is the pivot to being more of a community center with attractions and essential services. It's pretty common for malls to have businesses like gyms, hair salons, and activity spots like paint-your-own pottery stores. This is in addition to movie theaters and restaurants, which do a lot of good to attract people before they start shopping. And then once they're in the door, maybe they'll drop by Macy's and buy something. But in some cases, this starts to look less like a pivot and more like selling the mall off for parts. Take the case of Woodbridge Mall, the 4th largest mall in New Jersey and one of the oldest. A 1970s-era mall, it has a fan base for its unique architecture, but it was built so early it doesn't even have a central food court. With an initial 3 anchor stores later expanded to 5, the mall had a huge footprint but faced stiff competition from a more modern rival mall in the next town over. As a result, 2 of its anchor stores shut down, leaving gaping holes in its retail lineup. Over the years, in a desperate attempt to stay afloat, the mall brought in unconventional tenants like a dental office. And in a sign of the times, its massive former Lord & Taylor anchor store wasn't sold to another retailer, but to a medical testing company. Well, at least maybe that'll bring a lot of employees in to eat lunch at the mall. But the other malls are taking a different route, and instead of downsizing, they're going big time. Would you believe that the most visited tourist attraction in the United States is a mall? That would be the Mall of America in Minnesota, a massive sprawling 4-story complex owned by the 555 Corporation. This company believes that malls should be much more than retail destinations, and instead pull people in with flashy attractions that serve as vacation spots in their own right. The Mall of America isn't just about shopping. It's an entertainment powerhouse with hundreds of stores and dozens of restaurants and fast food spots. It caters to a crowd that comes for much more than retail therapy. Visitors can explore an arcade, a mini golf course, a mirror maze, a virtual reality theater, an escape room, a comedy club, and even an aquarium. But the mall's crown jewel is a massive indoor amusement park themed around Nickelodeon characters. And this isn't even the biggest and flashiest mall. Up north in Edmonton, Canada, you'll find 555's largest and most unique mall, West Edmonton Mall. Almost a mile across over its 2 levels, it has the same vibe as Mall of America, but it includes some unique Canadian flair. In addition to an aquarium and an amusement park, it also has a world-class water park, a dinner theater, and even an indoor go-kart arena. But its most unique feature might just be the massive Asian supermarket on the 2nd floor, which features its own mini food court. This strategy of becoming a destination for food and entertainment first has helped this fairly remote mega mall become one of the top spots in Canada. And it worked so well that they did it all again. But that one turned out to be a much thornier prospect. In the early 2000s, malls were already on the decline, so the idea of building the largest mall in the United States, just minutes from New York, seemed absurd. But that is exactly what a New Jersey development team attempted. For well over a decade, the bizarrely colorful facade of the massive Xanadu complex loomed over passing motorists, a constant reminder of the delays and disappointment. Many believed it would never open. What followed was a mess of corruption, controversies, and bankruptcies, until the 555 Group stepped in to save the day and get the renamed American Dream Mall across the finish line. In 2019, after years of setbacks, the mall opened its gates. Well, sort of. To say it's been a bumpy ride would be putting it lightly. The mall partially opened in late 2019, just months before the COVID-19 pandemic forced malls across the country to shut down. It would be well over a year before the entire complex was fully operational. Since then, it has opened in stages, evolving into a massive entertainment hub. Like other 555 malls, it features a wide array of attractions, but also some unique experiences that set it apart. Selfie museums, a Hasbro-themed arcade, and a mini Lego amusement park. Its 2 signature destinations are Big Snow and Indoor Ski Slope, where visitors can hit the slopes year-round, and a towering Ferris wheel offering breathtaking views of the New York skyline. The mall has also pivoted away from regular retail and more toward luxury, with its focus on high-end fashion and gourmet food. Its dining concourse has even brought in celebrity chefs like Marcus Samuelsson, acclaimed Chinese soup dumplings, and pour-your-own wine bars. Has it worked? Outlook cloudy. The American Dream Mall has gained a lot of acclaim and popularity for its massive selection of attractions, stores, and food. But financially, it's been battling to stay afloat. It took on massive debt from the start, lost a lot of money from the slow start and forced closure, and has never managed to get fully above water. It's not in danger of closing anytime soon, but its financial future remains uncertain. One of the biggest successes has been attracting a large Orthodox Jewish clientele, thanks to its kosher food offerings. However, the mall has also faced controversy for operating on Sundays, defying Bergen County's strict blue laws, which traditionally keep businesses closed on that day. As New Jersey's newest and most extravagant mega mall, American Dream will need every advantage it can get to defy the odds and survive in a rapidly changing real estate landscape. But just because this trend works for one company doesn't mean it'll work for everyone. 555's pivot to attractions has worked wonders for the company's malls over the last few decades, but another corporation has found far stormier waters. The Pyramid Companies, which owns a large number of malls, is the management team for 2 giant malls in New York, Palisade Center in West Nyack and Destiny USA in Syracuse. Both are towering malls with hundreds of tenants, and both offer a huge number of attractions. Palisade Center has a 4th-floor, filled with escape rooms, comedy clubs, and high-end restaurants, as well as kid-friendly features like a trampoline park. Destiny USA, meanwhile, greets people with a massive ropes course suspended over the central atrium and an upside-down Greek temple leading into the kid-friendly interactive museum, Wonderworks. But that hasn't stopped both of them from being on a collision course with trouble. Both take up a large amount of space in high-value areas, and they have very high overhead as a result. Palisades Center has been battling against foreclosure attempts from its mortgage holder, although it has been able to negotiate extensions. Destiny USA, the larger of the two malls, has dealt with an influx of crime and violence on the grounds. This has led the mall to institute one of the strictest policies in the United States, banning minors from the grounds unless accompanied by a parent or guardian at all hours. So much for Meet Me at the Mall. Neither mall is seen as likely to close immediately, but the future is uncertain. And for some malls, trying to save the day with flashy additions can backfire terribly. Back to Woodbridge Mall, the massive central New Jersey mall that has been open since 1971. It tried to attract new visitors with unique attractions like Dave & Buster's Arcade, an escape room, and even an indoor air gun arena. But one addition turned out to be far more trouble than it was worth. It opened an aquarium in 2019, but rather than going with the reputable Sea Life brand found at 555 malls, it contracted with Sea Quest, a less acclaimed aquarium chain that had past allegations of mistreatment of animals. And from the start, there was trouble. Animal rights activists protested outside the mall. Animals died at an alarming rate, and the aquarium fell behind on its rent. Ultimately, the state revoked the aquarium's permission to operate. A massive financial blow and PR black eye for a mall that couldn't afford either. Which is part of why many people say the slow decline of the American mall can't be avoided. There are plenty of reasons why the mall may be past its heyday, but the biggest may simply be that there are too many of them. The retail landscape has changed, and there is no putting that genie back in the bottle. But while some malls may be doomed to failure, the hope is that others will take advantage of the reduced competition to thrive. There are positive signs, such as the reduced rents, leading to an increase in high-end restaurants and family-owned businesses taking up residence in the malls. The only thing that's clear is if the malls continue to rely on old-fashioned shopping patterns, nothing will pull them out of their downward spiral. Millennials grew up with malls as part of their cultural fabric, and few are ready to see America without them. But the good news is, many of them are now parents themselves, so maybe they'll be introducing a whole new generation to just how much fun those places can be. Now if only they can find an arcade and an Orange Julius. Are shopping malls doomed, or can they reinvent themselves and survive? Have you seen a mall in your area decline or even shut down? Share your thoughts below. Want to know about the decline of another ubiquitous part of Americana? Check out the real reason Starbucks is failing, or watch this video instead.